some reason kind of taboo to talk about, it's actually not in the nutrition world, because we know that what goes into your body has to come out. Okay, yesterday we talked a little bit about the microbiome and the gut and how important that bacteria is. And so by looking at your poop, and I'm going to go through a chart of where to identify where the majority of your poop is, you will learn, number one, how healthy your gut is. Number two, what you can really work on in your nutrition to start making a change. It is the best signifier of what's going on. And most of us don't even turn around to look in there. So, okay, I'm going to draw the types of bowel movements and talk through each one. So this is the Bristol Stool Chart. So it's like the worldwide, everyone agrees, like this, it means this, means this, means this. Okay, now I have gotten to a point where when I talk with my clients, it's pretty basic. So I'm gonna do the basic teaching first and then we'll expand it to the Bristol. So I'm gonna first do Power Foods Lifestyle poop. PFL poop. Poop. Okay, you're either here, here, or here. Here in the middle, you're regular, you're well-formed, and by the way, regular means 2 to 3 times a day. Well-formed, they are not hard to pass, and it's just like regular poop. You don't have to wipe a lot, so not much wiping. Don't you love how we're just diving right in?
Like
speaking of diving, and sometimes these have cracks in them. Sometimes it's kind of S-shaped, but it's like well-formed, okay? That's like, it looks like an Easter egg. Okay, now here, speaking of diving though, these really good type, they'll just like dive right in like an Olympic swimmer into the toilet bowl, and they don't make a big splash. They don't like, you have to wipe different places of your bum. Like it's just whoop, right in.
Nice.
Okay? And the reason why it's S-shaped is because that's the lower part of the rectum and the lower part of the colon. It is that S shape, and so you want it to maintain that form. And so this means awesome. Things are kicking, you're getting enough fiber, you're drinking enough water, you are eating some healthy nutrients. Now, you know, it doesn't mean perfect, but things are working well, at least in the digestive tract. All right, and here's a fun fact too, is these shouldn't stink over the top. These shouldn't be like gaseous. You shouldn't be passing gas all of the time and like, you know, worrying about you're at a party and what are people going to think and if we're going on a date and all this sort of thing. So if your poop is in this area, you have pretty good control over your flatulence. So in Power Foods Lifestyle, when I'm working with clients, sometimes they will report that they are constipated. So if you're constipated, you're kind of lucky even to pass rabbit pellets. You're like, yeah, yes. Or sometimes it takes a lot of work and they're more like goo-goo clusters. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? Any ideas what this means in your nutrition or your water intake? What's going wrong? What are we not doing? Yep, not enough. We need more fiber. What else do we need more of? Water. So about 70% of your poop is water. So if you are not getting enough hydration, you are really backed up in this department. Okay, let's talk about the potential problems for why this is. So here I am, happy Christy. Yay, I love poop. Okay, so, yay! I need some hands and some feet. Cute! Okay, so here I am, hunky-dory, oh, hair. I think it's longer than that, but today we're going short. Okay, so in my gut, all these intestines, okay? What happens if the regular, here, I'm gonna use a different color, just so we can see the passage of food all the way through. Comes in through the esophagus, down into the stomach, and into the small intestine, then into the large intestine, and out the rectum, okay? Or anus, whatever. So, what happens if this normal passage stops, but I keep eating? This buildup right here means that we're not eliminating toxins, bacteria, and other potentially harmful acids. if it is stuck inside, let's formulate a hypothesis. What could potentially happen in your body? Is it anything good? No. Just what do you think could happen? What are some side effects that someone might experience? Either in the extreme case or just,
Gas,
like
probably.
gas, absolutely. What does a buildup of toxins do in your body, do you think? Could that potentially lead to disease?
Mm-hmm.
Could that potentially lead to chronic conditions?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So here's a fun fact. Your body gets rid of waste and toxins in 3 ways. Exhalation, which means, right? Fun fact, that's how your body gets rid of fat. Because it breaks the carbon backbone off the fatty acid chains. The fatty acid chains go through this waste process, and the carbon dioxide gets exhaled. So that's one way that we get rid of toxins. The second way is through sweat, which is why it is very important that we sweat every single day. That's another reason why dry saunas, wet saunas are good. It doesn't make you lose fat, but it is part of the elimination process, especially if you're having some trappage in here. Is that a word, trappage?
It is
like
now.
it. Trappage. We
Now
don't want
it is.
trappage. Exhalation, sweat, and then the nice word for what we're talking about today is elimination. So if those 3 things are not happening on a regular basis, we potentially could be building up inflammation, toxins, and potentially harmful bacteria in the body, which could create all sorts of problems. We don't know at what point, what toxins, what free radicals will latch onto what tissue, what organ. You want to talk about creation of cancer, creation of any autoimmune condition, creation of any other inflammatory condition like IBS, Crohn's disease, celiac, any of these rheumatoid arthritis, anything. I mean, I could go on, there are hundreds of diseases and illnesses, conditions that everyone's experiencing right now. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily the root cause. However, it is very important that we look at this when we're either A, dealing with a condition, or B, trying to find motivation to just live the lifestyle so that we don't get a condition. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear that that's one of the ways we get rid of these toxins and gas, and so that's why it's very important that we fix this and get them to here. Okay, making sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else potentially could be going on if we are having this type of poop? How many of you guys, when you travel, you don't go to the bathroom as much? Same. Do you think that it's potentially because you are stressed about the environment and like where you're going, when you're going, who you're with even? I know that's happened to me. I'm like, the company I'm with, I really don't want to go that much. And then you're just like feeling yucky the whole time. You're just like, oh, this is so miserable. Can I just go home and have a good poop?
Yes.
Like it's a very real thing we all deal with.
Uh-huh.
And it's not good for your body. And so on a logistical level, I've sometimes, especially if I'm staying in a hotel room with people that I'm like, shoot. Like, I go use the main restroom. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like you just kind of have to think outside the box. Now, I did hear a story one time of a friend who, she was recently married. And she was really scared to have like a good poop around her husband, and have him like smell it or see like skid marks. And so, I'm being real. So she would go down the street to the gas station for like a year before she felt comfortable. So
I wouldn't do it in a gas station.
we don't want to get that extreme.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, everybody poops. There's a book. Have you guys read it?
Yeah.
Everybody poops. Obviously, we don't want to talk about it. I'm known as like I'm pretty careful with my words. Like I don't ever say like, oh, I'm gonna go take a dump. Like I'm the person that's like, I need to go use the restroom. Or like I'll correct people if they say things that are a little more crass. And so, but by the same token, and it's hard for me to admit, even with like people I date, like I'm like, I'm not feeling well. I need to go to the bathroom. They're like, oh, you need to go never get my. No, I just need to go to the bathroom. Like, like, I'm like, don't say that. Maybe it's true, but don't say it. It's weird, So I admit, like in personal life, like it is hard. It is taboo. So that's why it's nice we can talk about it here. Okay, so with stress, like the more we can just recognize it's not good for us, try and find some solutions because it could have potential health consequences. Okay, so easy fix for this on the nutrition level. Number one, and let's use a different color for these. So if we're stressed, what's a good remedy for stress? What do you think? If you're on a vacation or with people,
Relaxing.
yeah,
Relax.
just relax. Probably,
Sometimes it's hard though.
yeah, probably some self-talk. Like you've got to really watch the verbiage in your mind.
Yeah.
If possible, music to relax you, and then communicate. Okay, what about needing more water? That's a pretty easy fix, right? Yeah, drink more water. In some cases, if people for some reason are not holding on to water and it's like their electrolytes are getting displaced, then I have a little electrolyte add-in that I'll add into their water, or tell them to add in. I don't walk around this country and just, here's your water, here's your water. But in the case of elderly athletes, sometimes we just displace electrolytes more easily. I displace electrolytes really easily, so I have to have electrolytes quite often. But I don't want like we talked about in our beverages section the other day, I don't want all the sugars and the food dyes that come in a lot of our sports drinks. And so I like this add-in because it's just electrolytes into the water. Okay, how would we get more fiber in the diet using your knowledge of nutrition and Power Foods lifestyle?
Fiber one bar. I'm kidding.
What-
Lettuce.
Okay, leafy greens, yeah.
Leafy greens.
Yep, greens. Basically all veggies.
Yeah, veggies. Some fruit.
Yeah, I'd say like apples.
Grapes.
Grapes are going to be a high fiber one. So think of like fiber as a starchy type of thing. So I'd say things like sweet potato, asparagus, beans, lentils, rices, things like that. Bran flakes, like our carbs department is going to have a little bit more fiber. So interesting fact is sometimes for the sake of someone shifting their body composition, if I'm assigning them only PVF meals, they're not going to get a ton of fiber, even if they're hitting all of their veggies. Now, I do not like us to turn to over-the-counter laxatives because there is a side effect. There absolutely is. Once in a blue moon, I don't think is a problem, but if we're constantly turning to that, it is not a good thing. And so that's why I might, if it gets to the trouble area where they're like, I just literally am not going, then I will have them eat a half cup of rice, or I will say, I need you to do a half cup of rice with half an apple and get that, not the lectins, the pectin into their body, and it starts to help move things through. Another interesting thing when this is happening, I usually will ask someone, if they're following Power Foods lifestyle pretty regimented, this is usually the fix. I say, are you having more than 2 servings of nuts per day? And that could be in either nut butter or nuts and seeds. And usually the answer is yes. And if that's the case, then I will cut them back to 1. In some cases, I have had to remove all servings of nuts. No peanut butter, no almond butter, no cashews, no peanuts, no anything. I mean, oils are fine, but any nuts, any sunflower seeds, any almonds, like all those have to go, and then they start to become more regular. Another natural remedy for this is you're going to take, remember how much spinach we poured in our saute yesterday? Like the whole bag and cooked it down? You're going to cook spinach in grass-fed butter and eat it. And that will usually unlock some of the things that need to get moving. One last tip for if we're in this department is magnesium. We talked about this, was it yesterday? The day before? Yesterday, yeah. Do you remember how much by chance?
40.
Close, add a 0 to it.
400.
400, that's right. Yep, 400 milligrams. Because even in the best diet intakes and things, magnesium is typically deficient. Even people can follow Power Foods lifestyle, and if they're not choosing the right vegetables and the right combination of vegetables in their PVF or PVC meals, then they could still be magnesium deficient. So magnesium helps with the movement process and all those enzymes and helps feed into them. So that's the fix for if we have poop like that. Because first of all, it's uncomfortable. You're blocking things and you spend more time. It's not time efficient. Okay, any questions? questions on that end? Okay, our other end is diarrhea, like they're kind of flaky, runny.
Beautiful.
Yes, thank you. All right, so this obviously is no good. The first thing that it makes me think of if somebody reports this type of bowel movement is either A, they have dairy in their diet that should not be. B, they have gluten in their diet that should not be. C, they have sugar in their diet that should not be. And it's usually one of those three things. Pretty straightforward. So interesting about dairy, because if we're dealing with any inflammatory condition, Crohn's, IBS, in cases of PCOS, rheumatoid arthritis, if we're dealing with any, whether it's a digestive issue or whether it's a neurological issue, time and time again, dairy is an exacerbator that makes any condition worse. Now, I'm not saying someone with rheumatoid arthritis is going to have this type of poop, but dairy is going to be number one for them to kick out too. Any autoimmune condition. Now, it's hard because dairy not only is yummy, but it is in a lot of foods. So some of the best things to do, number one is experiment. And at the end of the day, when it comes to functional nutrition like this, where it's just facing it head on, you experiment. The best time length to kick something out and do an elimination process is 2 to 3 weeks. And so it's one of those things that you just say for 2 to 3 weeks, I am going to kick it out. And then you can slowly bring it back in and just see. I remember I worked with one woman with Crohn's disease about 3 years ago. And our goal was for her, she was going 20 times a day. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Owning her life. And our goal was to get her down to less than 5. And we did it within 2 to 3 weeks of the right nutrition. And so at that point, it's just your motivation becomes, how good do I want to feel all day? And do I really want that cookie? Do I really need that tres leches? Like, you know?
Yeah.
And so it just, all of this, education is just education. And it's when we say, what is it worth for me to apply this, that we actually translate into our life. So fun fact, I, for the most part, go dairy free. Just because I did this elimination process a year ago and huge difference. And I, most of my life was kind of a gassy girl. I was kind of known as just always having stinky toots and things. Well, guess what? Once I kicked dairy out, I have only the right kind of flatulence. Just the kind where you're oh, I need to release the air. But it's not like this nasty well, it's not menthol, what's it called? Methane. Menthol is methane gas where you're just oh my gosh, clear the building. And so for me, that's worth it to not eat dairy. It makes my stomach hurt and I'm more gassy, and especially if I'm around people, I don't want that worry and that concern. So all three of these are these little exacerbators that can come through, and especially gluten being a protein that some people just can't process as well, can rip up. It's almost think of, sidewalks where it has the blocks and you have the little crack in between each. The gluten is taking a little dowel and just scraping that crack deeper and deeper and deeper. So not only inflammation, but remember how we talked about leaky gut and the causation for that being passed through of the pathogens and bacteria into the blood, which could eventually create bad blood and circulate the entire body. So gluten could get that to the point of a weak intestinal wall. And so it's very important that, number one, we look at these things, dairy, gluten, sugar. So I think I mentioned this the other day, but it's not that I intentionally try to go gluten-free, but the foods I choose and I've tried to introduce and bring into my life more happen to be gluten-free and dairy-free. So that way it's not oh, I can't have that. It's more no, I eat these foods. They just happen to be this. And for me, that's been a psychological shift that was helpful. But of course, if I'm around people and they're eating pizza, well, pizza has three of our things. We're oh gosh, all the exacerbators. Dairy, gluten, and sugar, because if you eat a lot of that crust, it just breaks down sugar. It's a high intake. And so, it's just something we have to think about. So I want you to just take about 1 minute, and I want you to identify most of the time, are you here, here, or here? And based on that, what do you need to either keep doing or what should you pay a little more attention to doing?